Good Thursday morning. It's the main event. I'm your humble host, Stephen McCollum. And of course, you know him as 17-year NFL veteran, 3-time Super Bowl champion for your Dallas Cowboys. And I kept harping on yesterday. Man, you were able to text me at 1:29 in the morning to tell me what was going on and how you're not going to be able to make it in. It's amazing how simple it was, I imagine. Dale Hillestray, everybody.
I was being accountable to my employer, and I needed to get an MRI, so I was in there at 2 o'clock in the morning, and guess what? They had one.
They had one? You didn't have to travel to get one?
Actually, they did a CAT scan on Brooke, so she got that done pretty quick, and I know what you're referring to there, but as of yesterday, from what I read, maybe you heard different, that he still hasn't got the MRI.
Today. Scheduled for today.
But he couldn't go to get treatment on Monday.
It takes a couple days to get an MRI, apparently.
And Nolan Arenado did get an MRI.
Yeah, he's back
in Boston.
playing.
Yeah.
And came back and played yesterday.
All right.
Yeah.
Just make sure I heard clearly.
Yeah, more BS. So we'll get you caught speed. I talked about it all day yesterday. We got Mike Sheehan as a head coach's opinion on how he would handle that with the kid. And
did he say cut him?
He did. He said one time, it's one, especially at high school level. He basically said one time you have the guy. He goes, but a second time, nope, out. Guy just done with it. They won't deal with it after that. So it's interesting hearing a coaching person. Now it's high school. I get it. Compared, but it was an interesting conversation yesterday. But before we get into that, Dale, of course, takes off today, goes and does his KUPD hit over there and everything. So, but you missed yesterday. I know because you told everybody last time you had to miss what was going on, and I know there was some concern yesterday. Everything good? Yeah,
everything is good. No, nothing quite like getting woken up at 1:30 in the morning with your wife saying that, as she sits down there doubled over in pain and saying, hey, we need to call the ambulance. And
oh, jeez.
I'm like, Brooke, I'm right here.
Yeah, let's get in the car.
The one thing I had taken that night was, because sometimes I've been sleeping not so good lately, so I took a little sleeping pill.
You were out of it.
But boy, bam, I rose to the occasion. We go to now our favorite hospital.
You're like, well, we passed 3 hospitals. It's okay, we're going to this other one.
We actually do pass at least 2.
Just suck it up for a couple more miles. We're going to this nice one.
She actually said she wanted to go, so got there. For some reason, just a run-of-the-mill, nice girl, housewife, pastor of women to a church. She can get a CAT scan within 45 minutes.
Yeah. Oh.
And they diagnosed her within the hour. It was no more diverticulitis, just some few complications that are easily taken care of. I'll try and dance around it.
But related to that?
Related to pain pills and stuff that they gave her from before.
Yeah.
And so...
I know what you mean by that. You guys at home catch on to that. Yeah.
And sent her home. We sent us home about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I just I told Steve I was either going to drop her off and keep coming, or probably let my head hit the pillow for a little bit. So.
Well, it's funny too, because yesterday all I get from Dale after the show is, because I was going to reach out to him, and all I get is, she's out of the hospital, I'll call you later. And I went, oh, he's going home and sleeping. He's going home and sleeping. But I made up this scenario yesterday at the beginning of the show where I said, I was trying not to make it sound worse than it probably was, but I was like, you know what? He was probably woken up in a dead sleep, and his wife's got to go to the hospital again, all of that. And he gets her there, does everything, and you were still able to text. With all that going on, sleepiness, everything, just unknown situation, all of that going on, stress levels through the roof, you're dead tired. And you were still able to send a text at 1:29 in the morning.
One eye open, one eye closed.
It's just amazing, Dale, how you're able to do that. But another professional player wasn't able to do that just the night before, just unable to do it for whatever the person
we make about the same amount of money.
I know. I'm not making more than Marte. Although the problem is the argument is I show up and I text you ahead of time. I should make more than him. That's the argument, right? From that side. The other thing about it is I wanted to point out to everybody is, as of yesterday, Hazen had only talked to him via text a few times. And Dale, our monitors are going to go off in here. Just we're still on, I promise.
Okay.
Just heads up. Internal issue here with the weather. I don't know what's going on, but our monitors in here keep shutting off. But Hazen said he's only talked to him via text. Tori says he hasn't talked to him at all. Yesterday, we played phone tag. I was in a meeting when you called the first time, and I called you back, and you were probably asleep. Then you called me last night when I was in another meeting, and so we're just like, all right, I'll see you in the morning, whatever, types of thing.
Right.
But it's amazing how you were able to reach out throughout the day and try to get a hold of me to give me an update and all. It's just amazing how you're able to do that when apparently it's the hardest thing in the planet to do.
And for some reason, I have a feeling that if I was actually Cattell Marte in that meeting you were in, you'd say, recess. Recess. I need 5 minutes.
The first meeting, I didn't have my phone on me, or else I would have gotten out of that one to talk to you. The second one, I was in the middle of a speech when you called.
Yeah.
You don't interrupt my speeches.
No, I mean, how many people you kicked out of the neighborhood last night?
None. It was the annual meeting, so it was just the results of the vote. We were voting a new board on last night. We had 3 positions open, so literally you show up, talk for a little bit, gave my president's speech on the good we've done in the neighborhood.
And then as you were walking out, you said, "Oh, and by the way, HOA dues have gone up $25 a month."
No, the budgets are being worked on right now.
Okay.
So that's an unknown on what that is right now, but those budgets are being put together. We'll know the answer to that here in the next month or so.
Okay.
So no, that doesn't happen there. But so that was funny. But I just sit here last night as I'm watching this giant rainstorm roll through and rain coming in sideways, and my bedroom's upstairs on the east side of the house. Man, those storms come in when they're that bad with the rain. It sounds like my windows are about to explode because I don't have a patio over my backyard, anything like that. And I'm just sitting there laying there well, what do I do if a window breaks here coming up for like an hour last night? It was crazy. But I'm sitting there thinking, Dale, no obligation to call me in the afternoon to give me info and tell me what's up, but you tried twice.
Right.
You texted, you called twice, you texted at 1:29 in the morning, you texted at that point. It's simple. It was so simple. And we're 2 days later, and Mike Hazen and Tori Lavella are both still we haven't talked to him.
We've texted with them.
Texted.
I'm sorry. You leave the team in a crucial situation. You pick up the phone, you call.
Now, Hazen did say yesterday that, well, first of all, glad Brooke's okay and everything. So we're good on that side. Let's wrap up that one. Robert does say, good to see Dalehausen. Let's hope all went well. Yeah. And then Papa Mike says, good morning, gentlemen. I'm listening. He goes, can't safely chat, though. Yeah, don't unsafely chat, folks. Listen to us. Don't do it while you're driving there or whatever you're doing. Yeah. So, yeah. So Ethan says, so when Dalehausen is here, nothing goes wrong at the intro to the show. But when Dalehausen isn't here. But when Dalehausen is here, it works fine. Oh, it doesn't work fine. Cool. So basically, he's blaming the monitors on you today.
I'm blaming on that lack of facial hair.
Oh, yeah, Ethan shaved today, folks.
Jeez Louise.
His summer facial patchiness is gone.
I think he's going girl hunting on Monday.
When school starts up.
Yeah.
And he goes to school. Yeah. He's got his first day is online class. So it'll be, it doesn't matter. I'm sure you're going to be on the screen, right? I don't know. But yeah, so, to continue on the Marte thing. So, Dale, yesterday I talked for a good hour on kind of the relationship. They sent him back to Arizona for the MRI. And at this point, we didn't know the conversation or anything like that. And I said, yeah. So on Tuesday with Bruce, I said, watch, they're going to blame his knee injury, and he's going to go on a long-distance IL thing. 2 reasons. 2, 1, keep him away from the team for a little bit, because that clubhouse has to be upset. Period, end of story.
There's no doubt about it.
If you notice the Diamondbacks aren't saying anything about the clubhouse this time, in times past, they're like, oh, this clubhouse isn't fractured. That clubhouse is fractured right now. So I predicted yesterday he's going to go on the 15-day IL for his knee after his MRI today. possibly a 60-dayer ending his season. And just like, hey, because I believe there's a scenario where you get through this year, get him out of the picture, get through this year, and next year you can start fresh for spring training, and then it's less of a distraction at that time, things to that effect, and he's got to work his way back in, whatever you want to say on it, and things that if you cannot trade him or whatever. So I think that's what was going to happen yesterday. Today, I'm not so sure. I think Mike Hazen realizes the situation of it. I listened to his 98.7 hit yesterday. I heard it was coming on. I loaded it up. I was listening to it on the radio. Look, Marte's making $16 million a year through 2030. And he's got a bunch of deferred money on top of it in that process. He's got 10-5 rights. What team's trading for him?
Well,
where you're going to get something back for him?
You just wonder if there's some... Again, I think I'm putting the cart ahead of the horse, but you wonder if they spent this week kind of looking as their ways out of this contract.
Well, I believe that 100%. And I think the Diamondbacks, listening to Hazen's comments yesterday, I think my expectation from Hazen's perspective as the GM is, we can't do anything. Marte has the leverage in this situation. There are reports out of the Dominican Republic. Robert just tweeted this in on the YouTube chat. Reporting out of the Dominican Republic is he wants to be DFA'd. He wants to not be a part of this team anymore. And this is what he's doing to get DFA'd. There's that speculation.
Is it because they haven't coddled him? Again,
that's it. That's got to be it, because what else would it be?
I would just love, as any athlete who's unhappy, I just love you to be honest and then let me make a decision on is that a legitimate reason?
Yeah.
Maybe they put him in a torture chamber when we're not around.
Exactly.
They
do evil things like they ask him to play when he doesn't feel like playing that day. Oh my God, the horror. So now we have all this convoluted stuff in there. But here's the other side of it. When was it? Tuesday morning? Tuesday morning was the night after the game was missed.
Right.
And the reports were he was flying back to Arizona for an MRI.
Yeah.
He didn't fly back until yesterday.
So
what did he do? What did he do for a day?
Was he at the hotel?
I don't know. There's also reporting out there that when they go on the road, his crew is with him. I'll phrase it as his crew, not his posse, but his crew. He has people that follow him around and hang out with him on the road. He does not hang out with teammates very much. I've known about the not hanging out with teammates very much side. I didn't know about he has his friends with him on the road all the time.
Right.
So he's kind of isolated from that side as well. But if you're being sent back for an MRI, and that's the reason, which we all know that was a BS reason, folks. We all know it. And he takes another day to come back, and his MRI is not till today, he's just slow rolling this. He wants out of the Diamondbacks, and he's doing this stuff. So what I would do if I was the Diamondbacks, when I'm Hazen meeting with him today in person, is all right. We're putting you on the. We're not just putting you on the IL. We're keeping you on the restricted list.
Right.
For as long as now there's CBA stuff. I don't know can you keep him on there for 60 days, 80 days? I don't know the answer to that.
Right.
I'd keep him on that restricted list, unpaid until the time runs out, and then you're going on the IL for your knee.
Always remember the baseball union is the strongest sports union. And we do not know the language of how long can you keep a guy? What are the reasons you can keep a guy on longer on the restricted list? Obviously, if there's a felony crime or something, but he doesn't show up for work, my goodness, that kind of seems like a reason to me.
It makes sense to me. That's the reason that list resort. Legal reasons why you can't be with your team is you didn't show up.
Mm-hmm.
So that was coming up yesterday. So supposedly Hazen's meeting with him today. I'm just telling you, folks, brace yourself. Your Marte lovers and you people that say Diamondbacks can't win without him, and you want him on this team, God bless you for sticking by the guy. I think. Then Torey yesterday said he hadn't spoken to Marte at all. If you have this respect, I said yesterday, Dale, I go, Torey keeps saying, I just love the guy. I just want to be there for him. I want to make sure he's okay. I just love him to death. It's not a two-way love affair. It's not a two-way love affair. Marte does not give a crap about you, coach.
We talked about this on Tuesday, Steve, and again, for better or worse, over my 4 years of Division I college football and 17 years in NFL, I had coaches who were my favorite kind of coaches, my favorite coaches, and I got along with them, and I was their favorite player, and hunky-dory, some that weren't. Obviously, I was not in Marte's situation, and all that. But sometimes you do have a personality conflict with a coach. But this is a coach who went out on a limb, stuck his neck out for you last year.
Repeatedly.
And this is how he gets repaid. That's what I think. That's where you see the emotion from Lovello come.
Okay, I've come to this conclusion as well, because I'm going to play you a clip from yesterday after the game. I think Lovello's pissed.
Yes.
I literally think behind the scenes, and this is all speculation, I think Lovello was telling pretty much it's him or me. I don't know if he's saying that explicitly, but I think Lovello's done with Marte. Just because think about what he's saying about Marte in this, right? After that game. I don't know. Why would you say you don't know if he's at the hotel or not? You're just throwing dirt on the situation.
Right.
Or you're exploding the situation some more. You're not putting dirt on the situation. The Diamondbacks aren't squashing this. There's ways other than he's going back to Phoenix for an MRI. That's cover for he's not around the team right now, and he's not going to be around.
And they very easily could have said, we've been in text contact with him. He's explained to us
I've talked to him several times.
And we all agreed this is what's supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. His knee's worse than we thought it was. We need to get him back to Arizona. We need to get this knee. There's ways to cover for Marte. None of us would believe it, but there's ways to cover, and they're not doing it. They're not doing it. I firmly believe Torey's been hit over the head with the reality of
it's not a two-way street.
It's not a two-way street.
And the way I was going to try and put it was, I know you've been a boss for a long time, Steve. I also know you're middle management at one point.
Yes. Yeah, that's what.
And don't know whether you did it ever or not, but I know a lot of guys do, whether it's like an assistant coach or whatever, who goes out on a limb for a guy, stands on a table and says, this guy made a mistake.
Yeah.
I vouch for him. I put my reputation on the line for him.
I don't know if I go that far, but no, you stick your neck out.
But sometimes in sports you do that.
Yeah, you do it in the real world too.
And then that guy rewards you with another episode.
I had a guy that just unbelievable employee, and I was pushing hard for him to get promoted, and the boss was like, "Nah." And I put my neck out there on the guy. Literally the day of the meeting where he was going to get promoted, he didn't just put in his notice. He just left his keys on the front counter and walked out to where I didn't even know what was happening. And I literally had to go into that meeting and go, he ain't showing up, guys. And I was the one pushing for this. And that was early on in my career. That was like fairly early on. And I learned that lesson quickly.
Yeah.
Promote guys, do it, but then it's up to them. Do not put your reputation on the line. Promote them, get them to that spot, but at the same time, have a little arm's length distance on there because I look like an idiot. I remember my boss being like,
"Oh, is this your judgment, people?"
Exactly. And I didn't get anything from it. So, it's that type of thing. And you look like an idiot when you're out there and stuff like that. First of all, Robert says, I heard his posse was on Broadway. That's right. Little Sir Mix-a-Lot for you, Dale.
Okay.
So... yeah, it's something that happens in sports, but happens in the real world, and you can get burned by it. Absolutely, you can get burned. I actually saw the guy at a Cardinals game a couple years ago, and like he recognized me because he kept looking behind his seats like at me, and I just pretended like I didn't know him. But all the feelings of you jerk, you would have just waited another 2 hours, man. Your life would have been different, But he made his decision and did what he wanted to do out there. So here's Torey yesterday. Well, really quick also. Hazen was asked, will Marte play again this year? I think it was by Wolf. And his general response was, I don't know. I got to meet with him. And he said, I hope so. What is happening where you go, I hope he plays again? Now, as I said, The GM has a different role than the manager does because he's got to try to keep some options available for him and stuff to that stuff. Here is Torey after the game last night. He was asked by Nick Picoro, beat writer for Arizona Central. He was asked specifically, last year, he abandoned you last year. Well, he didn't say abandoned. He wasn't with the team last year after the All-Star break. And he's doing it again here. Does this feel different? And then there's a couple follow-up questions. Don't just listen to the words of Torey Lovullo here. Watch his body language on this one. Here he is after yesterday's game.
You guys had that series last year after the break when Kitzel wasn't around. Did this feel different? And why?
I don't know. Maybe I can answer that question tomorrow. But yeah, maybe a little bit different. I had a little heads up last year. I didn't have a heads up this year.
You talked about how, I think I asked you yesterday, you expect him back.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we need him. He's a great player. We need him.
Yeah.
Not with so much uncertainty about him now.
Yeah.
How do you win without him? You did today.
Yeah.
You get where you want to go.
Yeah. We're going to be fine no matter who's in that lineup. And we got 26 engaged dogs out there that want to win a baseball game, and that's all I care about. And I will put in the best players that I possibly can that are going to focus and execute to win baseball games. This is a big boy league, and you got to win baseball games, and that's what we do every single night. We try to win every game we play.
I know, Dale, I know you couldn't see that because our monitors went blank on it, but he's rubbing his eyes when the question's being asked, and he's like, and stuff like that. But you can hear his voice as well. Torey Lovullo is not protecting Marte in this situation, which tells me he's pissed.
He's pissed. He's tired. I'm sure it's one of those, sleepless nights and tossing and turning. And
Dale, I went over this yesterday. Think about what has happened with this move. They held the lineup card till 8 minutes beforehand. Everybody else on that team is going, you wouldn't have done that for me.
Oh, yeah.
So that situation.
Right
in the middle of a playoff chase on top of it, right? And right in the middle of playoffs when you need all hands on deck. You have Arenado, who has an MRI in Boston, has a trunk issue, abdominal strain. He refused to go on the IL and wants to work through it instead of going on the IL and getting it healed. He's going to fight through it. He's in the game yesterday. All of that is happening. And then the players also know, because if they're not talking to Marte, if they're not talking to Lovullo and Hazen, the players aren't being talked to by Marte. Very few of them would be. So you have those question marks and everything. All of that is going on around this deal, and now you're coming back for a home series. It's easy to say, well, he's back home with an MRI, so he's not with the team. It's a different story starting tomorrow when you have the Reds in town. What's your excuse then? The Diamondbacks, the way they've handled this, are running out of excuses. The update is, Ethan told me in my ear there was one. I think this is it. And this is disappointing responses in my eyes from Hazen yesterday with, I hope he plays again, to Lovullo. Lovullo said, well, he's out this series. We'll see when we get back home. They're leaving the window open. And they have to be honest with you. He makes too much money. He's got the leverage because you can't trade him unless he wants to go. He has the leverage in this situation. Derek Hall, Diamondbacks president and CEO, said, quote, still a complete mystery. It's just bizarre, unquote.
Yeah.
Dale, we are 3 days removed from this. And it's still a mystery. It's still bizarre. Why are we even entertaining the name Ketel Marte at this point? It is clear, whatever is going on with him, he respects you so little that he's pulling this stunt. That in the history of sports, nobody pulls this stuff. And if they do, they're not on the team very long. And the Diamondbacks look like they're entertaining it. That's what's amazing to me. There should be stronger words coming up. If you're 3 days later, nobody has still spoke to him.
Right.
Dale, come on. You don't go. I can understand Tuesday, maybe there's a difference. things to that effect, and just text messages and things. You should have had a full conversation. And the fact that you're waiting till today for Hazen to meet with them, and to have that comment, there better be strong language in that meeting of what's not acceptable on this team. I believe we have it ripped up. And I said yesterday, Dale, whichever thing the Diamondbacks decide to do, whether bring him back this year or put him on the injured list, we're going to know if it's the right decision because the locker room will react. So if this team goes into a giant hole, well, the locker room wasn't on board with that decision and they don't like it. If they go on this big winning streak and play hard, the locker room's so excited. Think about the Pavin Smith DFA when all of a sudden they started playing well the second that happened. This locker room's going to tell us if the Diamondbacks are going to make the right decision in terms of the locker room, which in my opinion, forget about you, me, Dale, and the media and the fans. They got to do the right thing to this locker room.
Yep. No doubt about it. You call your leaders in and you have to say, this is where we're at. This is what we're thinking of doing. Are you guys on board with it? I don't know, Steve. He's supposed to meet with Hazen today. They're expecting him to meet. And by the way, just so everybody knows, like when I need to get an MRI now or Steve needs to get an MRI now, you make an appointment and you might get one in a couple of days. You might get one in a week. You're a professional ball player, football, basketball, baseball, you need MRI, you're in almost immediately.
Exactly. And we're 2 days
and
out.
You're not waiting 4 days for the results to happen.
No. You get the results fairly quickly.
Yes.
Might take an hour, but you're getting the results fairly quickly.
Yes.
And that's the thing. Even the MRI excuse is being slow rolled by Marte. I'll put this is my opinion today. The Diamondbacks cannot coddle him and bring him back anytime soon. I'm not saying at any point this year, but this year to me kind of is a wash from that perspective. You have ways to suspend him for violating rules and sanctity of baseball, folks, is what he's done. You mean to tell me Marte couldn't have gone to the Diamondbacks and said, my knee is killing me. I need to get this checked out. They wouldn't have been like, get an MRI 4 days away from the team, while you rehab or whatever. You don't think they would have done that? There's something more sinister going on behind the scenes.
When the people saw him at the bar Sunday night at 11 o'clock, he couldn't have told one of them, hey, I'm going to get in early. I need to get an MRI.
It's something. Here's the problem that I got with this. It sounds like there's a cover-up to something happening behind the scenes. Robert says on the YouTube chat, it could be as simple as this. We know Marte's history out there. Robert says, I think Lovello asked him very sternly to play on Monday because of the Arenado situation. It might not just be Lovello. Hazen could have said, you need to play on Monday. I need a day off. No, you need to play on Monday. And his reaction was 2 middle fingers, and you're not telling me what to do. So I'm just not going to show up. He has a history of that, Dale. It could be as simple as that. And now he wants to be DFA'd and all this. I don't want to be here anymore and all of that stuff.
Well, remember, we're talking about the times they didn't show up for the team after the All-Star break, this week, obviously. But there have been a number of times in important games where he's been too sore to play.
Yes.
Or he needs a day off in a playoff push.
Yeah. This is the time where you play. But again, I go back to the same thing. Last year, Blaze Alexander had an elbow the size of a baseball with literally the threads in it after he got hit in the elbow. He was in that lineup the next day.
No.
Corbin Carroll, you mean to tell me he's not hurting right now? He's out there every day pushing through it and everything.
You tell the manager, you know what? I'm not 100%. I'm available. I will push through what I can push through.
Yeah, they were going to DH him on Monday, which tells you maybe, all right, Marte is asking for a day off and we need him DH on this day. And he still refused to just go out there and hit and everything. And says, I don't think they can bring him back at all. This will prevent other players from wanting to come here if they know that there's a guy that will quit during the season. I'm going to put it this way, and I agree with you on that 100%. And then Dale, as a player, might have a different perspective. Actually, I would think it would bring more players here because the more veteran you are and the more better you are, you can get preferential treatment if you come here. Here's what I think is in play right now. Whether Marte comes back this year or doesn't come back this year, coaching change is coming. I think not just a coaching change, maybe a GM change. You can't tell me Derek Hall and Ken Kendrick haven't noticed the coddling of Marte. And it's led to this situation.
But in my mind, I think it goes up to and including Derek Hall.
Okay, to be honest, I'm gonna go a step farther and say I think it goes to Ken Kendrick. Ken Kendrick is demanding Marte be on this team with his extensions and all of that stuff.
I don't know, because I listened to the interview on my way in with the president, Derek Hall, this morning.
Yeah.
And just his tone of voice, his perplexion, his confusion.
Did he sound upset, though?
He sounded very perplexed and confused.
3 days after the fact. And you're the president of this team.
And you still
so if he's confused, how's Derek Hall feeling? Yeah. How's Torey Lovello? How's the locker room feeling? Oh. If you want to extrapolate it out to that point. It's inexcusable to not notify anybody and miss a game. It is unexcusable. It does not happen in sports. It doesn't. Go across to sports land who didn't just show up for a game with no notification. It doesn't happen. His agent's statement yesterday, Dale, kind of told you. His agent was like, what the F? We got to cover here because we're in trouble.
Right.
We could be losing some money here coming up. It's weird. And then 3 days later, we're still dealing with it. This is literally, there's no other reason for having a guy miss the rest of the season. This is it. This is the reason. In a playoff push, you got to protect the guys in that locker room. That Arenado was in the lineup yesterday, gritting it out. And you have a guy that refused to show up when he's in a different. It'd be one thing if he was here, Dale, and he just, I was at the mall, I lost track of time. He was nothing else to do but be in Boston to play a baseball game.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just bizarre. It's just weird. I don't get it, Dale. And we're just going to, now an off day today. We're not going to, and the thing that amazes me is I don't know if we're going to get clarity in this today, even with the meeting with Hazen. Maybe we do. I'll just say this. I'm going to be shocked beyond belief. I'm expecting it to happen, by the way, but I'm going to be shocked if they say, you know, we're going to suspend him for 10 days or he's going on the IL for 15 days, and they say that we want to have him back on this team and we can't wait for him to come back. I'm going to be floored if they say that, and I'm expecting them to say that. I don't. Dale, I can't we've been all thinking about this for 4 days now. I cannot find a scenario where he can walk into that locker room and not be hated by his fellow players. And doesn't that say something about your fellow players if he walked into that situation a second time? One time, okay. A second time now? A third time now where he's abandoned your team? Listen to what Torey just said there. Well, at least last year I had a little bit of a heads up, meaning they were in the middle of the All-Star break so they could make some changements and stuff like this. Zero heads up this time. You can't do that to your teammates and your friends. You take it personal. I'm taking it personal and I'm a fan. I think he's flipped off the whole city of Phoenix and every Diamondbacks fan out there that supported him. He's literally telling you, you diehard Marte lovers, he is telling you, I don't care about you. F off. I'm going to disrespect you as well. I don't get it, man.
And as a former player, I can get by that part. I can't for the life of me because I'm trying to rack my brain and have been for a couple of days of another baseball player doing this to his team.
Yeah.
I can't come up with one. Maybe there's one or two out there.
Well, Devers refused last year for Red Sox, refused to, I get confused now. He was a DH and he refused to play first base or whatever it was.
Yes.
Because they told him, don't worry about your glove. You're not going to play the bait. And then they're like, we need you to bait. He's like, no, you told me not to. And what they do, they shipped him out of town to the Giants.
Right.
That's like as close, but he still showed up to work every day.
Yeah.
It's not like football, right? Where a player will hold in for the training camp for big money. That's an accepted practice of holdouts, you know, and things like that. This is just something so unprecedented. It's amazing. It shocks me. We'll see if there's any resolution today. I don't expect there's going to be. I think the way the Diamondbacks have handled this is just absolute. I'm sorry. You don't know why on day 3 why he's not there. You're on the reserve list. You are suspended until we figure out what's going on and you grow up and you come and talk to us like a man. Have that conversation with the public. We're on day 3 and they're still going, well, let's find out what happens. No, there is no finding out what happens. Dale, if it was a real bad personal thing like they keep trying to claim it is, we would know about it by now.
you'd know.
They would have floated it out there.
We've seen a couple personal things happen to coaches and players here recently, and that makes the rounds pretty good. And there's not a single person alive who holds any ill contempt for somebody's mom getting shot or a wife or what. Hey, go deal with your stuff.
You can go to the football side, right? Calais Campbell's brother,
that's
his
what I'm
mom,
saying.
and he comes back into it. I forgot his name right now, but Kansas City Chiefs.
The offensive coordinator.
Yeah, offensive coordinator. His wife gets attacked. He disappeared. What did they say? He's dealing with a personal matter. He's leaving, and then it comes out what it is, and everybody's like, "Take your time.
Yeah,
miss as much time as you want." That's what baffles me about this. It's not a personal issue, because if it was a personal issue, if he has mental issues out there to where just something in his head triggers something, we would all be like, "Oh man, let's get him the help he needs."
Yes,
And I'm to the point now.
Knowing the Diamondbacks, they would do that. His agent would know that. So
That's the thing.
But anyway.
But it is an amazing thing. That's the updates for you today and everything. I know Dale's going to talk about. I'm sure you'll be talking it later on in the Holmberg Sports Podcast as well.
It's a sports thing.
And over on your hit that you're going to be talking it over there as well for him. But Diamondbacks are in a bad position. They can't afford to eat that money.
But through all that, Steven.
Yeah, I know. Throw it up, Ethan.
Season saving.
Throw it up.
Win.
We'll throw it up as we go to break here. The NL wildcard standings. Throw it up there. Back to a game difference here is what
Huge
the Diamondbacks are last night. I'll talk about this when we come back on the other side. Dale's out of here for the day. We have Uncle Lou coming up at 9 o'clock as well. It looks like Robert said he got that from Jack Summers, that he thinks Lovello asked him to play sternly on Monday because of the Arenado situation. So that's what sad this is. It could just simply be Marte wanted Monday off. And the Diamondbacks were like, nope, we need you. And he's like, I'll show you then. Come on back, folks. We'll talk that and some NFL stuff leading up to Lou. Come on back. And we're back here. Main events. Thursdays. It was nice to have Dale back in here talking. Of course, there's no other big story than this Marte situation. And I'm about to start coughing. I hear Ethan coughing over there as well. Like, what the heck? Is gas just come through these vents in here or something? Affecting both of us out there. Give me real quick. Don't forget, we're live here on YouTube. TME Media AZ is where you can find us. Uncle Lou coming up at the top of the hour as well. Just those are the updates on the Marte situation. Derek Hall, we're just going to have to now wait and see until, I'm shocked. And I know Bickley, with his Bickley blast today, said, did Ketel Marte seal Torey Lovello's fate here with the organization with this move? I think we're moving that way. I think whether I told you guys that story of where I was sticking up for a guy and getting him promoted and pushing him. And then literally like 2 hours before his promotion meeting he was going to have with the bosses, he just flakes out and leaves. That looked bad on me, man. And it took me a while to overcome that. I didn't stick my neck out for anybody for a long time after that, to that emphatic levels and things to that effect. But your bosses notice. And I think if you're Derek Hall or Ken Kendrick, you're looking at it going, this is what you guys fostered here. This is the culture of the Diamondbacks. And how's that look? We're going forward is kind of the question that you got moving forward from that side. But again, they're in a precarious situation. He makes too much money, 10-5 rights. You're in a precarious situation. It's going to be hard to unload him. And that's just where you stand going forward, folks. Throw up the NL wildcard standings again for me, Ethan. I know we put it up there when Dale was taking off here. But look, all that being said, you survived. I'm going to say you survived that hard road trip with Atlanta and Boston. You got the win yesterday. Right? You're only one game out behind the Padres and 3 games behind the Phillies, a game behind the Padres for that third playoff spot. So you're still in this thing. You got to rally the troops. Yesterday did give me a little bit of hope that this Diamondback squad can kind of overcome, what is happening in that locker room. It took a couple days to shake it. They were able to fight off it yesterday. Of course, it took 10 innings last night for them to get that win, and Brendan Pfaadt on the mound yesterday as well. So Brendan Pfaadt ended up going 5 2/3 inning, right? Not as good as he has been doing out there. Gave up 5 earned runs as well in this game for him, charged to him. But the bullpen guys came in and, of course, got the job done, and eventually in the 10th inning to solve that. So you can't tell me this ain't affecting this team. Hazen yesterday on his radio hit even said, look, it's affecting us on the team. So they're admitting how it's affecting him. So if you see how it's affecting your team, if you notice that, if you know how you're feeling about it 3 days later from the incident date, you still have as many questions as you had before, it's just unacceptable. You got to do something about it. You cannot not delve out of punishment for it happening out there as well. It's kind of what you have to deal with moving forward. All that said, also Nootbaar yesterday, home run. First home run as a Diamondback. Good for him. You salvaged it. Day off today for your Diamondbacks. Of course, then you got the Reds in town this weekend. This ain't going to quiet down. This is the reason why I'm a little stunned on the way the Diamondbacks are holding this, are dealing with this. They're leaving it open. They're not putting an end to it. Will that happen today when Marte meets with Hazen? If that happens, are we going to kind of get the finality of it? Whether it is he's coming back, he's going to play this weekend, or he's not coming back to this team for a while, for whatever excuse they give, knee injury, whatever. I do think it's not a coincidence he's meeting with Hazen after the MRI today. Watch out for one of those baseball, injury excuses. Whether it's, his knee was really bothering him. He did this because his knee was hurting him, and blah 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 blah. Just watch for that coming up as well today. That side. So, just unbelievable what we have to deal with here as fans here of Arizona sports and things to that effect. Now we got some NFL stuff. Let's move over to that. Of course, we got Lou coming up at 9:00 later on, and the show off day for the Diamondbacks Reds tomorrow. We'll see if this quiets down or if we still have unexplained things coming our way. One thing I do know is we have NFL preseason football tonight, folks. Couple games tonight as well. Cardinals finally not on a Thursday night here for preseason. They don't play till Saturday night. Here at home, their lone preseason home game against the Dallas Cowboys coming up on Saturday, 7 p.m. For them. But tonight you do have a couple games. Throw up the schedule here for me. No, he doesn't have it there. Did I save it in the wrong spot and not put it on there? Probably. But you do have 2 games tonight as I'm pulling them up. Vegas at Houston tonight, 5 p.m. on ESPN. As well, of course, Reliant Stadium there in Houston tonight. And then San Francisco and the Chargers tonight, 7 p.m. as well from SoFi Stadium in New York. Friday night, tomorrow night, we can remind you of this tomorrow. 3 games tomorrow for Friday night. Jets, Pittsburgh, Carolina, Jacksonville, Green Bay, Denver tomorrow night. And then, of course, Saturday, everybody else plays, except for Seattle, Tennessee. They're the Sunday night game coming up from Nashville, Tennessee. Coming up this weekend. Is anybody watching Hard Knocks, by the way? I haven't sat down and watched any episodes yet, like sat down and watched the full episodes. But I am watching clips of it from time to time. Did you see that negotiation? The Seahawks with their GM, he's walking on his treadmill in his office. And, with the agent for Arnold, right? The Detroit Lions. He was with the Detroit Lions, serious felony charges ringed up against him and Seattle wanted to sign him. Did you see that whole conversation? Like they were just talking over each other left and right. It was an interesting dynamic from there. I've got to sit down, and I know Reacher started last night again, a new season of Jack Reacher. I got to get into that. I usually wait for that a couple episodes to hit before I get into it. I don't like the waiting a week between episodes. So I'd rather wait a few weeks and then catch a few of them in a row. It's kind of what I'm doing with Hard Knocks as well out there. So I don't know if you're watching that, but I'm fascinated by the clips I've seen around the Seahawks because, man, they're working hard to, dare I say, rebuild that team off of a Super Bowl win, right? For them out there. Yeah. LaFleur, I saw this interesting conversation yesterday. We're seeing a lot of players roll through for press conference and talking about a lot of conversations yesterday about Beck, his huddle presence for that Hall of Fame game and in practices and things to that effect. I find those conversations interesting. I know they're getting asked the questions. I understand that. And they're responding them, the way, they feel like they need to respond to them. But there's just a lot of conversation about the presence of Beck, the way he works out, the way he works in the huddle and things to that effect that I'm kind of just like sitting back going, there's a reason this narrative's out there. There's a reason for it. Something to pay attention to, in this Beck situation and things to that effect out there. So LaFleur yesterday was speaking again and everything, and I found this interesting. Josh Weinfurst put this out on Twitter. Of course, it was in the press conference as well. So Dallas this week on Saturday night, then they play Green Bay for their final preseason game for their last one coming up here. Now they have 4 compared to the 3 that everybody else has, but they're going to Green Bay and they're doing joint practices next week. To me, if I was a head football coach, I would have joint practices because you're going to have, you want to be hitting other people. Now, you don't want the fights to happen that happened over the weekend and things, giant brawls breaking out. You don't want any of that. But you want to see your team play against other guys that don't know what's coming. You're hitting the same guys every time. You learn tendencies, etc. So I'm a big fan of that. And I would actually do that all the time if I could, right? But LaFleur said yesterday that he'd have 3 joint practices during training camp. Now, he said coaches were presented with data at the owners' meetings in March, and that data showed joint practices are the equivalent of a preseason game because everything gets amped up in those preseason and in those joint practices. You're going against somebody else. You want to prove yourself against, like next week, right? They're going to want to prove themselves against that Green Bay defensive line if you're an offensive lineman. So things are amped up as well. LaFleur said the data also shows there's a lower injury risk heading into the first 4 weeks of the season if your team participates in joint practices. That part of that is because you're hitting more. You're not having, camp sissy fit or whatever you want to call it that you generally have during training camp in the NFL these days. Dale talks about that all the time here as well on the show. So, but then LaFleur went on to say he learned 2 lessons throughout his early coaching career before he became a head coach and stuff like that, right? Is these joint practices get booked up pretty quick and early. So you got to get on it early and stuff to those things. Now, he's also learned by being the Arizona Cardinals head coach, teams don't want to come to Arizona for joint practices. Yeah, the Heat. They can't handle joint practices in State Farm Stadium, limited space, they say in there. I don't know why that's the case, but that's what they claim from that side. So they don't want to come here because of the heat. Folks, have you ever been in Wisconsin, Dallas, Florida for the summer? What do you mean it's too hot here? We don't have the humidity and stuff. What are you talking about? I get it. It's hot. Don't get me wrong. I get it. It's hot here. But really? Really? You don't want to come here because it's hot? All right. Whatever. So the Cardinals would have to go to other teams' places, to do joint practices and stuff like that. It was just fascinating conversation there on the ebbs and flows of him as a coach. Insights you don't necessarily get from a lot of head coaches out there because they just don't talk about that stuff. And, they don't, they don't go from that side. And I found it fascinating. And like I said, just naturally, I'd want as many practices against unknowns, other teams and stuff, than I would just against my own team. Have your regular first 3 weeks of training camp or whatever be with your team. Then start integrate. Even if it's for a day, team flies in for a day, works out maybe 2 days, works out for a day or two with you, and then they go back. It cannot hurt you. Here's the other side of it. You would be around other coaching staffs as well. Now, they're not going to tell you things and stuff that like next year in Green Bay, Mike LaFleur's brother is not going to pull him aside and be like, here's what we're going to do, during the season. You're not going to go into that stuff. But a lot of coaches will get together with other coaches in the off season and things like that and talk about how to handle things and what they're doing, et cetera. A lot of learning experiences out there for spring camps and stuff like that. It can't hurt either to be in that environment and watch how other coaches coach, for instance. Like, wouldn't that, now I know Mike LaFleur is from Sean McVay and Shanahan up in San Francisco, but I'm going to use them as the example. You can't tell me it's not going to hurt if you have Sean McVay here for a joint practice or you're there for a joint practice and you see the way Sean McVay and his coaching staff operate. Now, Mike LaFleur already knows how they do that, so I'm just using it as an excuse, as an example out there from way I'm thinking about this. It wouldn't hurt to see those guys operate, how they run their practice. They've had a lot of success in this league. How do they operate? What do they do during practice? And you can integrate that into your system. I think it's joint practices are a no-brainer. Cardinals go to Green Bay after Saturday night's game against the Dallas Cowboys as well coming up here. So Uncle Lou comes in today at 9 o'clock. We're waiting for him to come in. We have the UFC Sacramento this week coming up. Of course, UFC 330 last week. Lou made some really good picks on the show last week that stuck, and he kept putting him out there Friday, Saturday morning, and a couple of those hit, especially that point one he told us, plus 9.5 points for that main event last week. That hit, folks. That was a big plus number last week as well. So we'll talk to him about all of that stuff as well with Uncle Lou coming up as well. So Ann said... did I read this one? I don't think they can bring him back at all this year, meaning Marte. It will prevent other players. Oh, yeah, that's right. For other players wanting to come here. I did read that one earlier as well. But it's such a good point. We should read it again, right, as well. Robert says, with everything going on, 3-3 on the road trip against the Braves and Red Sox ain't too bad. That's the thing you got to remember. That wasn't a bad road trip. It was. They're still in the hunt. And you got to remember that when all is said and done. My focus on this is just the abandonment by Marte. 4 days later, you still have no answers because he's still abandoning you by not talking to you. And then which way are the Diamondbacks going to go? Where are they going to take this season? Those are the things I'm focusing on moving forward. And I get it, Marte fans. I'll just reiterate again. I get it. Those of you that think Marte didn't abandon this team and he's dealing with a personal issue, God bless you. God bless you for having your head in the sand like that. I wish I had your mentality on that. And when evidence says otherwise out there as well, right? Robert says Jack just posted a synopsis of the Derek Hall interview. I'll pull that up. Let me see if I can pull that up here during the show as well. Because we played the one clip where he said, we don't know anything. It's just bizarre. Right. Robert also says, I refused this year's Hard Knocks. Seattle's on it, if you didn't know. I usually start liking players after watching it. And he goes, I don't want to watch like any of the Seahawks. That is a good point. The Seahawks do have good dudes on that team, man. Sam Darnold's not a guy that you can hate. I'll just tell you that right now. He's a down-to-earth guy. He knows he's gotten some bad things against him over the years and stuff like that, but he's not a bad dude to hate. He's not. So that is a good point, Robert. If you don't want to like any of the Seahawks, do not watch the Hard Knocks and everything. I'm going to get into it here. I was thinking about it last night. Because last night was the episode. I was thinking about it last night when I saw the clip on the thing. it was just weird how the GM was on the treadmill talking on the phone and the agents all like, oh, and they're literally talking over each other. And I'm just like, dude, everybody stop yakking so much. Just listen to each other. Kind of a deal what you're looking at. Let me look up here. We're top of the hour. Lou's going to be, of course, in the building here as well. So Jack Summers, I'm pulling it up here as well with Derek Hall interview with Bickley and Murata this morning. As I told you, I already told you, I know he said it's still a complete mystery. It's just bizarre. And then he said Marte appeared just fine Sunday night at the hotel, and then was just a no-show, is what he said on the show. And that's the weird thing about it. There's nothing leading up to it, right? Derek Hall said we're going to have to get explanations from him and apologies from him. That's a big part of it. One, why did you do it? And two, are you remorseful? You have to be remorseful in this situation. If he goes in, kicks his feet up today in his interview with Hazen, kicks his feet up and goes, what are you going to do? And challenges them. It's a different situation on that side as well. According to Jack Summers on that interview with Derek Hall, he said, any player who has a responsibility to be at the ballpark needs to be there unless you're sick and need to stay away from the team. If injured, need to go in and get treatment. And that's the thing people miss, right, that I've been seeing. The Marte fans, oh, he's injured. Doesn't matter. You still have to show up. You have to get treatment and things to that effect. You don't just not show up because you have an injury, unless you're on the IL or something. Then you have a recovery plan and things like that that you have to do from there. So Derek Hall did say we're all sparring judgment because we don't know what the explanation is. That's a soft way of putting it. In my opinion, 4 days later, you don't know what the explanation is. Time to become a hard ass about this. On Tuesday morning, absolutely. We got to find out what happened. We need to be, just kind of aware and find out what happens. Thursday, after this happens on Monday, and you still don't know? I'm sorry, folks. You could still spare judgment, but you can be a little bit harsher about it as well 4 days later. I'm sorry. That's just unacceptable for a professional at anything you do out there to not report back 3 days after the incident happens and stuff like that. And then he said, if there is a personal issue, we need to hear what it is. Derek Hall's admitting they don't know if it's a personal issue or not. But his agent put out it's a personal issue. He hasn't told the team it's a personal issue? What? Derek Hall also said, every decision we make, the players are watching us. Torey quickly turns his attention to those 26 guys. And that's what I told you. That's the way I'm eyeing this now. Whichever direction the Diamondbacks go, you're going to know if it's the right decision or not based off of how the locker room responds to it. That's the threat right now. To me, Marte's not the threat. He's shown what he's going to do. He's going to abandon the team, not show respect, not reach out to him, not tell him what the matter is and everything like that. It's what you do with the situation is going to determine what that locker room does. And to me, that's the important thing the Diamondbacks are up against right now as well. Things. Now, Derek Hall did say that Mike Hazen has been on the phone constantly with Marte's agent out there and everything like that. So then he said, of course, until we sit down with the player, we don't have much to say. That's what they've been saying all along. Again, 4 days later, and nobody's met with Marte. To me, that's just fascinating to me. Just fascinating to me. So we'll have to see how the Diamondbacks handle it. That's the Jack Summers synopsis, at least, of what the conversation was with Derek Hall earlier today. When we come back, Thursdays mean Uncle Lou, folks. Whole second hour. Come on up. Come on back, I should say. Yeah, come see Uncle Lou. He disagrees with me on this Diamondbacks thing, by the way. Come on back, folks.